rocking my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
We won't be hearing the Sabonis roar tonight, but we will be talking to Jerry Reynolds here in about 15 minutes. Looking forward to that. We've got the Kings Court pregame show for the Nuggets and the Kings tonight. Kings have guaranteed themselves at least 3 wins on this road trip. It is a getaway game for the Kings, and it is the first game back from a road trip for the Nuggets. They've lost 3 of their last 5, and their last 4 have been on the road, East Coast, some difficult games that included Boston and Milwaukee. We'll talk about all that, get you ready for it. We'll also take some of your calls, by the way. If you want to talk to Jerry, I'm open to it. Jerry's a man of the people. He loves talking and hearing from you, but you got to get in, get out. You got to make it quick. It can't be like 3, 4, 5 minutes. We're talking like 90 seconds probably, so we can get as many people in and out on that. Also, funny story about communicating with kids. It's just different now. I'll get to that on the other side, but let's get into it tonight. Big game for the Kings, especially coming off of a night last night in the NBA that I absolutely hated. I hated everything about last night in the NBA. We'll tell you why as well. Let's get into it. The Kings Court right here on If You Don't Like That.
Late nights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now.
And unfortunately,
boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
it did last night. It jumped up a notch, and it jumped up a notch for the Kings. No Malik Monk tonight in this one. He is going to be sitting out with a right toe issue. That came out earlier this morning. Probably means Keon Ellis steps into the starting lineup. However, for the Nuggets, you've got a number of guys that are questionable and or whatever you want to say, game time decisions for them. Most notably, Aaron Gordon and the Joker. The Joker, I'm guessing the Joker is going to play. What do you guys think? I would be surprised if Jokic does not play in this game, but you never know. And this team, look, they've won 7 of 9. They're feeling good about themselves. The rest of the West, I just don't know what to make of it. Last night in Phoenix, I felt like throwing something at the television watching that game. And just another reminder, too, about player development in the G League. Speaking of the G League, shout out to my man Mason Jones, who scored 49 points last night for Stockton in a big win. But Colin Gillespie, guy that's been developing with Phoenix and their G League team. Now he has been on the main roster in 2 ways in Phoenix. He made a massive difference last night at the point guard position for Phoenix. And I just hated that game. Phoenix, give them no reason to believe, because they obviously don't care. They made a big comeback, beat the Clippers. It didn't sit well with me. I just didn't like it. Golden State goes into Madison Square Garden, knocks off the Knicks as well. So I get you only can handle what is in front of you first. And for that, it is the Nuggets tonight. Let's get to some of you in the chat before Jerry gets here. Looking forward to talking to him. Tristan, don't know what the emoji is, but what's up, dude? Hope you're doing well. Flores, let's go. Game day, ladies and gents. Missed the live show yesterday, but caught the recording. Glad you did that. Thank you. Haunted Horse, man, sitting here making rulings. He's like, Judge Judy, what time is it? We pushed it back a few minutes. All right. Well, here's the deal. And this is what I was going to get to. The little man has been sick. The little man has not been feeling well. I talked about that a couple of days ago on a show. And I'm trying to figure out because he's quiet sometimes. He keeps things to himself and he also has a high pain tolerance. So it's hard to understand like where he's at comparatively to where a normal person in terms of their pain tolerance or my pain tolerance, everybody's is different. And then I finally figured it out. All right, the kid likes Fortnite. He likes playing games. You have health scores in Fortnite. You have health scores in Zelda. So, like, Liam, if a 10 is a perfect health score right now, you've never felt better in your life. And a 1 is you are on the verge of falling over. Like, what are you at? What's your score? And it has worked now for the last like day or two. So it's just like, hey, what's your health score at, man? I'm like an 8, a 9. So he's hanging in there doing his thing. But yeah, I just found it's funny. You can't just say, how are you feeling? What's up? You got to put it into video gaming terms. Monk is out. Indeed. What's that mean? Probably Keon Ellis. Probably Keon Ellis would be my guess. By the way, we're here all night. Grant and Jerry will be back at halftime, taking care of you, getting you ready for the second half, and hopefully talking about a good first half for this team. And post game, Napes and myself, I should be here. My goal has been to do all 82 games. I'm 99.8%. I will be here. Grant will for sure be here, holding things down. The phone lines have been off the charts as of late, so keep those calls coming tonight, especially you first-time callers, new callers. We love it. Had some great calls yesterday as well. So get up in on the show. All you got to do, hit the link in the chat, and we will bring you up as we await Mr. Jerry Reynolds joining us. Put your questions, by the way, for Jerry in the chat if you have any for him about this team. I think one of the most interesting aspects, and if you watched the replay of yesterday, if you watched live and you were participating, thank you for that. But one of the most interesting aspects with Sabonis out is what do the Kings run? It's got to be different. You're not going to do a lot of DHOs. So does that open up a new door for them offensively? To give them a different portal into a style of play that they wouldn't normally play with Valanciunas? Because although Valanciunas and Sabonis are similar, they are very different in certain ways. Especially size. Size is a big difference between those two guys. My man, Rich, what's up, dude? We've been texting all day. What's up, man? Let's get the party started. He's rocking his Bibby stuff today. Lance, how you doing? Modern age parenting. Good job, Rhino. Hey, I try. I try. Trying to do my best there. You know, parenting is parenting, no matter what era it is. But we definitely are in the tech, the video game era. In fact, my little man hit me with, did you know they're coming out with a Nintendo Switch too? I'm like, no, I didn't. So then my wheels start turning and I'm like, all right, well, what's up with the Switch 2? Are you going to be able to only play games that come out now on the 2? I'm sure all the games for 1 will work on the 2. So, you know, the mind's going, but much more going when it comes to this West. Again, here's where the West stands right now with really, I would say 3 through 10 kind of up in the air. Phoenix is really that wild card for me. Then certainly Dallas. What is Dallas going to do? Is Dallas going to be able to hang on? I highly doubt they will, but what's it mean for Portland? Do they sneak in the back door? We also talked yesterday about whether or not some of the most important games, actually more important than any of the games that the Kings play on that brutal homestand, beginning, I believe, the second week of March, whether there's more important games in front of them. I think there might be. So we'll get into all that. But as promised, we're not doing our roundtable this week. Instead, we are doing a one-on-one here on the pregame. He will be back at the halftime. You know him as the one, the only, Mr. Holy Moly Jim Bob Bully, my friend Jerry Reynolds. What's going on?
Not much, Rhino. Just kind of watching the rain. We're getting a little rain up
Okay.
here, and getting mentally ready for the
Okay.
game. As you know, got to get your game face on.
No
That's very
doubt. Did you get
important.
your walk in before the rain?
I did. I got it in. Got after a little nippy
Sure.
out there, but being a senior warrior like I am, I can get
Hey,
it done.
it keeps you alive a little bit, keeps you on your toes when you're walking in the
Well,
rain.
it keeps you on something. So
You are the best. Thanks for joining us today. By the way, everybody's happy to see you. I just wanted to start off this. I'm going to lobby a softball because we talked about this guy, Grant and I, on the post-game show. Scal BCA getting some minutes back into the NBA. We both had some nice things to say about him, and just wanted to see what you had to say about Scal.
Well, I mean, he's just absolutely one of the nicest young men, that's been on the Kings. I mean, maybe it's part of the reason he hasn't had the success he probably should have. He's probably too nice
Yeah.
a person because you've got, I think he's probably be considered a little too soft. It would be the way of putting it. But, I always remember the game his rookie year when Grant and I were doing the game. He had 30 against Phoenix on the road late in the year, and you thought, this guy, there's something there. Well, and then that he had some outside shooting ability, was long, had some athleticism, but it's just never really happened. But having said all that, it's great to see him back up and maybe getting a few minutes here and there. I don't know where it's going to lead, but. Good guy. Wish him nothing but the best. And it's a nice little opportunity with Sabonis out. Maybe he can get a minute or two.
No doubt. He's been so important to what they've been doing in Stockton. And he's cherished, embraced that role, and he's really brought some of those young guys along. So very happy for him as well. Thank you for the super chat, Tristan. He says, Jerry is the best. They are working you overtime, buddy. But are we working you too much, Jerry?
Oh no. I enjoy this. Getting to talk basketball with you and Grant and the fans. I love it.
And it's only a double day today. We only asked you to prepare for 8 hours before the show today, so pretty light day.
Yeah, I got the full 8 in. I got the all 8. Studying my notes, but really looking forward to the game tonight because I think it obviously depends so much on whether the Joker plays or not. That's probably the real key.
No, it certainly is. And let's kind of dig in there. Malik Monk out with a toe. We saw him go to the locker room last game. Jerry, how do you handle losing Malik in this one tonight?
Well, I think obviously Keon Ellis has got to get a huge role. I mean, I think they'll kind of, it wouldn't be near as the problem if Domas was available because you could run more stuff through him. Now Valanciunas is skilled and you can do that to some degree, but he's not Domas. So you're hoping that between Keon and Zach LaVine, they can take care of the ball enough and get it in play and run the offense. If not, then I think, you're probably going to see Markelle Fultz play a lot more, somebody that can get the ball in play. But that would certainly probably hurt your offense and scoring ability.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you something that we talked about yesterday on the show, because Sabonis and Valanciunas, as you pointed out, they are similar in some ways and they are very different in other ways. What are the positives that you could see coming from Valanciunas playing in the starting lineups and the negatives that you can see?
Well, he protects the rim better. than Domas. He's longer, much longer, even though he's maybe an inch or so taller, but probably 4 or 5 inches longer. And definitely as a shot blocker, rim protector, much better in that way. I think his mid-range shot's a little more dependable. I don't know that it's better, but he's more confident in
Sure.
taking it. That sort of thing. And then maybe the other thing where he's even more physical than Domas. I mean, and maybe to a fault, so he may get in foul trouble. But now, obviously Domas, he can't run like Domas, and he's not as relentless as Domas. But then nobody in the league is. So
Right.
there's that.
Right.
And and he's a good passer, but Domas can, is a great passer for a big. And so, like I say, I just would love to see if they get a chance for the season over to see, how they'd fit together a little bit. Where they, I know it wouldn't be ideal for 35 minutes, but I can't help but believe they could be very effective for 10, 15-minute stretches.
Yeah,
together.
I'm gonna explore that a little bit later with you. I've got a couple questions around that, but in some ways, now that you have Valanciunas in the lineup, he is not going to be the guy, as you pointed out, running the dribble handoffs. Does this by default force Coach Christie's hand to get everybody involved in the game plan?
Well, I think so. I think it definitely, you're going to, and Denver's a pretty good defensive team. So I do think what we'll see instead of the dribble handoffs, I think you're going to see Valanciunas go out and set more high screens, to get the real good defenders off the
Right.
ball handlers. They're going to need help. So I think you'll see that probably. And but I definitely think Keegan Murray's going to have to really be involved offensively as well, which he's been, as you know. I mean, he's been terrific here of late, but he really needs to have be hungry a little bit. Go out there and look for your shots.
Besides the hunger and calling for the ball, what have you seen Keegan doing different that's led to his recent success?
Well, I mean, he is taking it to the basket better. I mean, he still doesn't draw fouls like we want him to, but I noticed too he went inside the other night and shot a little long half hook over the top, which I think that could be a real weapon for him. We've talked about that, but I wish they'd kind of incorporate that, and with Valanciunas playing high and slide him in there low again, I think he could be very effective. So. It's really just him being more aggressive and confident. Clearly, he's playing with much more confidence than he did early in the year. I think Coach Christie's had a lot to do with that, truthfully, because you're seeing him really pull the trigger on open shots, not hesitating like we saw for much of the season. And in transition, we'll take the three, which he needs to do.
Certainly. Jerry, if this is a top 2-3 team in the West, is Keegan Murray getting consideration for the all-defensive team?
Well, probably not, because he plays for the Sacramento Kings. You know how that works. So I mean, really, he and Keon Ellis both should be considered. I mean, they're both outstanding for their positions. With Keegan, whether he's guarding 2, 3, 4, I mean, he guards about 3 positions, and of course Keon does too. But I think they're both really outstanding. I mean, I think probably Keon might be even better for his position.
Interesting. Rich asks, what is the biggest thing the Kings need to do to win tonight, Jerry?
Well, it's take care of the basketball, number one. That I really think, to take care of the basketball and make sure that if Jokic doesn't play, you really got to put the pressure on Jamal Murray. If he doesn't go for big numbers, I don't think they can get 100.
Yeah.
Without the Joker. And so, it's they're kind of a one-trick pony at this point. And then Jamal, as good as he is, depends on the Joker for a lot of his baskets. So, I think this will be a great opportunity for Keon to lock him up. And I think Kings, if they, can make him shoot 20 shots to get 20 points, I think the Kings will probably have a great
one
chance.
name that we haven't mentioned yet is Russell Westbrook. Jerry, is it the system in Dallas, or is it a change in his game that has revitalized his play? He's hurt the Kings so many times this year.
Well, Russ is such a competitor. One thing, when he was playing, not playing maybe well with the Lakers or whatever, but it's never him not really
Sure.
busting his hump. That guy probably tries harder and competes as well as anybody in the league ever. But I think what's happened, he's a nice fit for this team because they don't need him to handle the ball a lot, don't need him to shoot a lot. They need him to do what he does, just hustle, scrap, get the rebounds, defend, steal the ball, and play
Yeah.
off Jokic, and which he does very well. And so, but then again, the truth is that a lot of guys could play better off Joker.
Yeah.
He happens to be great and unselfish and a great passer. So he's, it's a whole package. But I think that they knew with Westbrook, I think, Coach Malone knew that, hey, we need a guy that's going to go out there and bring it every night, whether he's starter or off the bench. He's going to bring it, and we think our main guys will help him, and that's exactly
very
what's
like-minded player with his coach and Michael Malone. There's no doubt about that.
There's a little fire burning both those guys. I mean, Coach Malone, man, he's just about. He always looks like he's about ready to explode, just about.
Jerry, was that the biggest coaching mistake the Kings have made in your time here?
I'd say the second biggest was not re-signing Rick Adelman. I think if the franchise that Maloofs had done, if they had re-signed him, there'd still been a down period, but it wouldn't have been near as long because Rick, with less talent, would know how to utilize it correctly and still keep the Kings afloat to some degree. But having said that, Mike Malone, outstanding coach. I mean, I knew that, and it was just a ridiculous firing. He was doing everything you could do with that level of talent at the time, and a very difficult star to coach, which he was. I don't know if it lasted long term, but he was getting the most out of DeMarcus that anybody could get, and so that was clearly a mistake. I mean, he's got a championship ring to prove.
Indeed, he does. Jerry, are the Kings a playoff team?
I think they are. Now that could be some of my,
your love for the beam
blood rushing through my veins. I mean, no question I'm biased, but I like what's happening. I mean, I think the talent base, really getting Valanciunas and Laravia and Markelle Fultz really makes the bench, pretty good. Just, now Laravia's got to make a shot here and there, but you love his scrap and instincts out there, and then same with Markelle Fultz. For a playmaker, he really needs to be able to get an assist as opposed to just turning it over. His assist turnover ratio is awful, and so that has to happen. But of course, JV Valanciunas, he's been as advertised. We've talked about that. That guy is one of the 15, 18 best centers in the league, and it was just New Orleans got rid of him, and look how that really worked well for him, didn't it?
It worked so well for them. And the fact that Washington signed him for 12 point something million a year, that's a steal in today's NBA.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing. And then of course, they moved him on because their second pick in the draft, Sarr, they kept wanting to develop him, which I get that. Except that he's not very good.
I'm with you.
I mean, it's hard to see where he's going to be, but I mean, it was a case too where they want to stay really in the tank mobile, and when Sarr got hurt and Valanciunas started, they had to play Valanciunas, and then they started winning. So I said, we got to get rid of this guy.
Bringing him off the bench for heaven's sake.
He gives us the
exactly.
chance to win. And so anyway, but that was it's a terrific contract for the Kings because whether he remains strictly as a backup or plays a lot more minutes with a kind of a twin tower look at some point, he's a great
100%. I was going to get around to this question. Flores is asking, a version of it. He's asking, on the current team, who would you start? My version of the question, Jerry, was going to be, is what is the best 5 to have on the floor as the roster currently sits?
Well, your best 5 will include Keon
Yes.
Ellis. Let's put it that way. I mean, so he has to be on the floor. Whether you have to start him or not, I mean, you don't. But I think he is one of your best, most productive players. The stats back it up. The eye test backs it up. You know, the team is better when he's on the floor. So obviously, you can only start 5, and you can only play 5. So in my mind, he's on the floor. The other 4 would probably be game to game.
Okay.
You know, I mean, generally speaking, you know, Levine's going to be out there, and certainly Domas is going to be out there if he's healthy. You know, whether Monk or DeMar or Keegan, one of them might not be, depending on game situations. I think so, depending on how it goes. So, but I just think. I'm a real fan. I mean, he's one of those guys that doesn't have to score points to be valuable, and those guys are hard to find.
And he gives you the ability to switch on the perimeter at multiple positions, something that some of the other guards on the team do not.
Yeah, when you have him and Keegan on the floor at the same time, you know, you got
Bingo.
2 guys that can switch on anybody, and you know, you can't say that about Levine or DeMar or Monk. I mean, they're quite honestly, I think they're all 3 below average defenders individually. Domas can switch on wings, which is rare for centers. He's really better. He's one of the best centers, if not the best, jumping out on wings and guards. He does a terrific job there. He's just not as good around the basket, you know, due to his length and size. But so, you know, in pressure situations, when you've got those 3 guys on the floor, they can put a lot of pressure on teams.
If you took personalities, you took the paychecks out of it, and I sat here and said, I'm going to say, Valanciunas, Sabonis, Keegan, and Keon should all be on the floor to start the game. Would you call me crazy?
No. I think I mean, given I'd say it probably right now because they just haven't had. You know, if you could have a camp, you know, if you could start the year and had a couple of weeks to where you really could, the coaching staff would have a chance to really implement some different structure, different plays, different looks, that type thing. I just don't think you can do it now, and that's the problem. But again, that's one of the reasons I like this roster. I think there's a lot of potential with it that can't be realized now, other than, you know, because Coach Christie's just got to kind of game to game mix and match, you know, and that's tough. He's doing a marvelous job, in my opinion, but it's tough. But I think there's a lot of possibilities there. I wouldn't disagree.
Well, we
with
talked
you at
about the
all.
double bigs, and the way that Valanciunas takes up the lane and the way that Sabonis can be on the perimeter that you talked about. It's that perfect kind of playoff match that we have seen work now in a couple of years in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and you know, with Coach Christie's really developing, the zone is becoming much better. They've been and there again, I would see that as the way you would play with those guys. And you know, when you look at Cleveland with the best record in the league, they play 2 bigs. And you know, and so you know, it's the old deal. It's like, well, the league doesn't play 2 bigs anymore. Well, clearly they can, because the best record in the league is doing that. So, yeah, and I think that, you know, it gets back to what's your most productive way to play. That's what you got to decide, and it may be with 2 bigs. Now, it may not be. It may be with 2 bigs 15, 20 minutes a game instead of 35.
Right, totally. Okay, Jerry, here's your obligatory wrestling question from Adam. Jerry, who you got, John Cena or Cody Rhodes?
Well, I'm a John Cena man. You got to go with John Cena. I mean, you just, I mean, I'm not enough of a follower, but but I follow Cena. So,
All
so
right,
I'll
you
go
can't
with
see the
Cena.
man, so why not follow him? Uh, good stuff. Keep the questions coming. Fultz, I think Jerry touched on it a little bit. How much of Fultz's performance and the way he's been utilized is due to him being out of the NBA for a year, Jerry?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with it. I mean, you're talking about a guy was out of the league for more than half the year, and just is picked up. And I mean, I think he's in reasonably decent shape. A guy's always playing, but as far as playing competitive NBA playoff kind of basketball, yeah, he's a work in progress. Like I say, the thing you can see it to, basically his ability to move the basketball. He's got good instincts. I mean, I know when he was with Orlando. I mean, that's when he kind of
Right.
found his footing a little, and could make some shots and all. But then had the serious injury. So I don't totally know what to make of him. Could he be more than a limited backup? I don't think you could say that right now. Uh, and I think that, as I pointed out earlier, the thing that's disappointed me, he's able to get places on the floor, but his assist to turnover ratio is very poor, and that's exactly what you don't need from
Yeah.
him.
Yep.
I mean, because this team is, making too many turnovers, and certainly you wouldn't say that Monk or Levine are the highest level of ball handlers, really, and so you need him to be like he was in Orlando, basically a 3-to-1 assist to turnover guy, if he can get
Yep,
back to
I'm
that.
with you. And I think a lot of the attention for him, we got to look at the defensive side. A game like tonight, not saying that he should start, but with Monk out, I think certainly some minutes are probably in play for him. But his ability to guard on the perimeter with his physicality, I think that works very well against a team like Denver, a team like Oklahoma City. And defense translates usually a little bit sooner than offense when you've been out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that part you kind of see already that he was a well above average defender, you know, uh, before the injuries in Orlando, and I think you see the ability to kind of stay in front of guys. He's got a nice
Yep.
body. He's long. Uh, yeah, I mean, this would be should be a good opportunity for him. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get extended minutes, and now see what he does with them.
And speaking, you brought Levine up. Zach Levine has definitely hit his groove, reigning Western Conference Player of the Week right now. Jerry, do you think this is the Zach Levine that we should expect going forward, or is it somewhere in between of everything that we've seen so far?
I think, Zach's a star talent. I mean, we've always said we didn't see it early, and I mean, there again, it's kind of fitting in and wasn't making shots. Uh, but Zach Levine, when he's healthy and playing at his best, he can score with the very best guys in this league. Uh, he's probably below average defender. He's got a little bit of the Luka Doncic defensive
Yeah.
ability, but I mean, I was looking at watching Luka, and I mean with JJ, he's trying a lot harder. I'll say that. He has good instincts, and I think same thing could be said for Zach. He's a terrific athlete and has good instincts. So you don't expect him to be a stopper. Just bring it up a notch. That's all. But as an offensive player, I mean, he's a ball. He's a ball player, and he's going to get you buckets. And most nights, I think should be, he's a 25-point kind of scorer. I mean, I think he honestly, and I don't mean this as taking a dig at
Sure.
Fox at all, but I'd say as an offensive player, I think he's will prove to be more productive.
Yeah, I actually don't disagree with you. I think here's the confusing part for me, and you've been a coach. Um, I'm just gonna flat out ask it. There's times that Zach Levine passes up better shots for worse shots. And I'm wondering if that's something as a coach you live with because a guy wants to get to a certain spot on the floor, or is that actually a concern?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a too big a concern now because he's still adjusting. You know what I mean? Teammates, situations, style of play. Uh, but as say as his coach, I would say Zach, if it feels like leather and you got a good look at it,
It
shoot
feels
it.
like leather. That is so good. Yeah, I'm with you. Because this team, that's where they get into trouble. It's overpassing and it is spacing, and it's been much better the last 7, 9 games.
Yeah, it really has, and I mean that and that's the key. I think when you in the NBA, the 24-second clock will work against you. But if you got a high percentage
Yep.
shot, take it. That goes for Keegan Murray. I mean, DeMar is probably the guy that might slow the pace down, but he'll get good shots. But it's not going to be a catch and shoot very often. But exactly, I think the spacing has been better, and they're getting a little more comfortable with one another. But this team has some really offensive firepower. It's a matter of as you pointed out. I mean, don't turn down good shots to take tough
Yeah,
shots.
and defensively, Coach Christie's saying that's where he wants this team's identity to reside. The Kings are 15th in defensive rating right now. Jerry, I've kind of surrendered the 3-point percentage that they give up to their oppositions. It's just going to be 29. It's going to be 30. The number I am looking at is how many attempts they're giving up. For much of the season, last season, it was 27, 25. For a while, it was 22. It's down to 20. How important is that for this Kings defensive team?
Well, I think a lot because that's kind of been the Achilles
Sure.
heel, so to speak. I mean, team almost invariably games they lose, it's because of the points
Yeah.
off 3-point shots. And we've seen as fans, you've seen teams that haven't shot 3-pointers well all year, and they come in and shoot 50% against the Kings. So, I think Coach Christie is really trying to clean that up to make, okay, you're going to give up some threes, but make them
Amen.
tough threes or make them challenge threes, and the percentage will go down. I mean, I think anybody that's ever played sports knows that, hey, a nice, comfortable, feet set shot is a little easier to hit than somebody
No doubt.
running
No
it.
doubt about that. Rich is giving you a big compliment on your pronunciation for such a young guy. Good job there.
Well, I'm not very good at bless your heart. That's probably uh, tongue in cheek, but that has always been a problem for me. I felt like sometimes I'd be like Johnny Most, the old Boston announcer. He would just say, "Up over to the big left-hander now." Up, number 12's open. He gets the ball.
You just lose the word and you just don't go with it. I hear you.
Yeah,
I gotcha. I want to flip in, Peter. By the way, it's good to see you. One of our viewers lost his mother recently, and
oh,
sending our best. And the community's rallied around him, which I love. But the Kings have been on a 4-game winning streak since then. Well, I would tell you, it's a coincidence. Life is much more important than sports, my friend. So
sure is. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you lose your mom, I mean, and obviously at my age, even you still, it's a hole in your heart.
no
It'll
doubt,
never go
life
away.
doesn't start till you lose a parent. Many say. Okay, so I've got a couple follow-up things that I want to get to before we wrap up on tonight's game. The first is the playoff picture. First off, I hated last night, Jerry, watching the NBA. I just hated that the Phoenix Suns came back. Colin Gillespie,
Yeah.
just a kind of grinder coming up from the G League, making a way for himself, helps them spur that comeback over the Clippers. And then obviously Golden State goes into New York, beats them. I've got the play up picture up for you right now, Jerry. Out of teams 2 through 6 right now, which is currently Los Angeles, Denver, Memphis, Houston, and Golden State, how many of those teams do you think will actually be in the playoffs?
Well, I think
Okay.
all of them. Yeah, I mean those top 6. I mean, I could see some movement. Memphis now. I wonder. I can see them dropping. Jaren Jackson could
Right.
be out a while, and so I think that makes them very vulnerable. Sadly, I think Golden State is better since they got Jimmy Butler. So it's kind of like they got better. As clearly, the Lakers have gotten better. I think the Clippers might be a team that could slip. still, I'm kind of like you with Phoenix. I'll need to see more before I feel like they can make a run, I kind of think that Minnesota will still get it together and maybe move up a little
Well,
bit.
they've got the Minnesota as the easiest schedule in the Western Conference coming home. So I think they will. I'm with you there. Get it together. The Clippers are an interesting case for me. And that's where I moved to this, Jerry. And it's the schedule for the Kings coming up. We've made a lot about the homestand that they have that begins on March 17th. It's just Murderers Row. Everybody can look at it there. But I'm looking at the Kings' next 6 games, and I think 4 of them are probably more important than any of the games the Kings play on that homestand. The first being San Antonio, because obviously De'Aaron Fox coming back. I just think emotionally, karma-wise, it's just one this team has to have, not only for itself, but also the fan base, Jerry.
Oh, couldn't agree more. And they're a team
Yep.
behind you, so you can't lose to teams behind you if you want to move up. And I mean, certainly, like I said earlier, I mean, I think those top 6 might remain there in some order, but that doesn't mean that will be the case. And then the Kings, you'd like to move up from where you are, and certainly you can't do it if you lose to teams behind you.
And then I move on to the other games. The Clippers, a team the Kings just have not been able to match up well with at all, and that has been without Kawhi Leonard. They didn't have Ben Simmons yet. The Golden State Warriors, massive game as well, and then with the tiebreaker, and then Phoenix. You can't lose to Phoenix, Jerry, and you have all those teams coming up before that homestand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Phoenix, you got to beat Phoenix. I mean, that is a must win. And I mean, I really think, you got a chance to really solidify your position if you can
Right.
beat the Clippers. Now, the Clippers aren't playing
Right.
as well as they have. Now, Norman Powell's been out, and that's a big loss, I think, because, they traded for Bogey, and Bogey still can play at a high level, but, they planned on bringing him off the bench. But now they got to, with Norman out. So, I think there's some opportunities for the Kings to maybe, push a little space between them and the Clippers. But you hit on it though. I mean, Phoenix don't want to give them any life, zero life.
You just can't. In fact, Phoenix last year beat the Kings. They came back on them twice late in the season. Between those 2 losses and the 2 losses to Dallas at home, I think that is what cost the Kings the playoffs. So anything that you give to them, it's still Durant, it's still Booker,
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, that's what I say. I'm with you there. Hey, those guys are those guys. Now, they're both capable of getting 60 points any night of the week, and so as long as those guys are healthy, they've got a chance to beat just about anybody. And so I just want them to stay in their doldrums. I didn't like them winning last night. They might start feeling good about themselves, and we don't need them feeling good about themselves.
No, we do not, which leads us back to tonight really quick. For those just joining us, no Malik Monk for the Kings. Sabonis obviously out as well, still with that hamstring. Aaron Gordon and Jokic are both game time decisions. So how do you see this one playing out, Jared? The Kings coming home 4-0 on this trip, or is it going to be 3-1?
Well, it all depends on Jokic playing, in my opinion. I was looking at an interesting stat. It's just amazing stat that with Joker on the floor, the Denver Nuggets points per shot, overall production is better than the Boston Celtics championship team of last year. With him off the floor, their points per shot, overall production type thing is worse than the Washington Wizards.
Very interesting.
So if there's a stat that tells you how great a player is, that would be it. And clearly this team with him is a contender for everything. I'm not saying they're the best, but they're a contender with him on the floor. Without him, and fortunately, they don't play without him.
That's exactly right. There's not a big sample size.
No, they're not going to play without him more than 10 minutes a game. So, which But if he's not able to go, then honestly, the Kings should beat the
Okay, well,
Nuggets.
let's say, and great stat, by the way, incredible stat. Let's say he does play. I think your number one concern is foul trouble, obviously, with Valanciunas, because what do you turn to at that point, Jerry, if that does happen?
Well, I think it's Trey Lyles. I mean, because he can stretch, you can play small ball five. He can stretch the floor. You can put five shooters out there. And so that makes him a little tougher to match up with. Certainly, Isaac Jones, I mean, he's a tough kid and you could play
Sure.
him some in there. It depends on, if it's, I mean, the backup for them is the bigger question. I think, I'm trying to think who is their backup now. Has been with them for a number of years. I've kind of forgotten.
It
Gosh,
is, you're killing me. DeAndre Jordan? Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, I couldn't think of either. And I mean, he's a nice backup, but he's a 10-minute guy. So if without Joker, you can certainly play Lyles against him or Isaac Jones against him because they're not going to. They're not expecting anything from him. And then I think Lyles might be more effective because you'd stretch him. He can't really cover out on the floor. So, so much of it just comes down to if Joker trots out there or he doesn't.
Yeah, and we will keep our eyes to that and also hope that obviously this Malik Monk toe sprain is nothing long term because losing Sabonis and losing Monk is not a preferable combination for this team.
No, when you lose basically two of your five best players. So, you can't, you can make up for losing guys on a game-to-game basis because it's the NBA and other guys have talent. But over a long haul, that's when it really starts to show up over 6, 7, 8 games. Then it really, really takes its toll. So, I hope Malik can get back out there. I'm sure he probably will be able to, but let's just hope because this whole thing, this injury stuff in the
Yeah.
league this year is just it's almost depressing. I mean, just every team has had to deal. Kings have been luckier than most, but it is a bit depressing.
Anything in particular you attribute it to?
That I mean, I don't know. I mean, anybody's guess, but I think sometimes these guys overtrain. To be honest, in years past, guys didn't stay in shape year round. They really would take 6, 8 weeks off,
Interesting.
get away from the game, and I just wonder sometimes with all the extra, coaches and trainers and this, that, and the other, if we're not overdoing it.
Interesting.
To where the body needs to, kind of rest. But I mean, so, it's a credit to the players on one there because they want to be in top shape and they stay pretty much in shape year round. They didn't used to do that. So that's the only thing I can think of that makes a little sense because I think some of the injuries, especially pull muscles and things of that nature, well, there's only so much. I always say a car's only got so many miles on it
Yeah.
where the engine just wears
100%.
out. And I think the body is to that degree somewhat too, but it's I mean, and credit to the players. I think that they're playing harder. I mean, they play hard. I don't know if they play harder than they used to, but they play plenty hard. And the pace of the game, we both alluded to that. I think the pace of the game. Everybody's three transition. And faster you run, and then contact occurs. It's if you're going 20 miles an hour in a car and hit something, it's not near as bad as going 40.
Yeah, no, very true. And I think we've had this conversation before. Generations before, they played multiple sports. They didn't specialize in one sport, and guys now, and I think it'll be even more interesting as we see this next generation of stars and the next generation of draft picks come in, because even more so, those guys have played one sport their entire career or their entire life. They've been doing the same movements their entire life. So that wear and tear is so much more coming into that age.
Yeah, you're
Where
and you're putting a
you
strain on the same muscle sets and
exactly.
activities. I mean, years ago, of course, I'm older than dirt, but I mean, you never a top athlete in high school wouldn't even consider playing just one sport.
No.
I mean, if you didn't play two or three, you'd think something's wrong with you. And but now, yeah, a 14-year-old kid, if he's pretty good, they'll say, well, you got to focus on this sport, and I don't think you have to, but because I always say there's plenty of examples of guys, late developers, who just picked up the game late, or were better at another sport. Like Tim Duncan's a great example. Is he was a
Yep.
swimmer through, and then just kind of was a late
I can't
developer.
imagine him as a swimmer. I'm sorry. I just don't see it,
Yeah,
Jerry.
it's a little stretch, isn't it?
Right?
But like I say, I always remember when he was knew the coach at Wake Forest, and he was kind of a secondary recruit, but he was a late developer, as
Yeah.
just kept getting better and better and better. And part of it was probably because he wasn't burnt out before he got there.
Sure. No, absolutely. Zach Edey. He's only been playing basketball 9 years.
Yeah, they're great. Elijah the same way. Akeem Olajuwon was basically played 1 year and kind of went in and kind of begged Houston to give him a scholarship. And
Yeah.
They thought he could play, but didn't know he was going to be great.
The dream. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt at all. Well, hey, I want to make sure we give you enough time to get your nap, get your dinner, go relax, enjoy the first half of the game because we're lucky enough to have you back at halftime tonight, my friend.
Well, I can't wait. It's always great talking basketball with you and Grant, and I hope the fans enjoy the show. And let's just have a good game, man. Get a win on the road. Joker or not Joker. Just go beat them.
I hear you. What's your? I gotta let you go after this one, but throw the stats out, throw the records out. When you've watched this team since the All-Star break, what's your gut feeling at? Is it like satisfied? Is it nervous? What is it?
Yeah, well, I was very dissatisfied early, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just didn't like the way there wasn't much fun watching them. Too much ball stoppage, too much dribbling. Just didn't seem. But I mean, I wasn't surprised by it. But really, lately, I mean, the last 4, 5, 6 games, I really like where they're heading.
Okay.
I like. I mean, Coach Christie's really put in a zone that's much better than what we saw earlier in the year. A little more active. Looks like Zach is really finding his niche, and it's a big niche for him. DeMar's DeMar, and so. I think the only thing that I would like to see a little better is when Monk comes back, become a little more of a playmaker, little less hunting shots.
I'm with you. Don't fall.
Yeah, with this team, you got enough guys shooters, so he can get 15 points without looking for shots.
Well, it'll come back to you twofold. By the way,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, and this team really needs that kind of. Say ball movement, leadership, unselfishness, really with the lead guard, and that's what Malik, and he can do it. We've seen it. So, that's the only thing I'd say because I know he could do it, and I think it would make the team better.
No doubt, no doubt. Jerry, you're getting a ton of love here. Thank you so much, as always. Can't wait. I will not be here at halftime, so you're going to have to deal with Napes on your own.
Oh,
I don't know what you're going to do. My bad.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of experience. I'll get mentally ready. I'll take a little longer nap than usual. Get ready for the Napes.
Yeah, exactly right. You never know what you're going to get with that guy.
One of a kind. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, that is never been more true about a person.
Well, I've always said with Napes, people always say, "Well, how's it work?" Well, I said, "Well, here's my feeling about Napes. I love the guy, but he is like he's an acquired taste. It's like coffee. When you first start drinking black coffee, it takes you a while to get so you like it, and then you can't live without it.
So true.
Napes is black coffee, baby.
He's black coffee, baby. And learning how to dine with Napes is quite the experience too, because his attention is everywhere. He's not a natural sitter. When it comes to eating, he wants to be moving around.
Yeah, he really needs to have like something attached to his neck, where you can just eat and walk around. And
100%.
yeah,
100%. New Yorker in him.
he's a one of one. One of one.
One of one. You're the best, buddy. Have a great halftime show. Go Kings, and best to you. Jerry Reynolds, the man. How lucky are we to get to have him on this channel? And by the way, you want some more Jerry? You can have some more. He is with us at halftime. Some really good stuff there that we can talk about the rest of the show. And I appreciate all of you. Very good questions. Appreciate the love that you show, Jerry. I since having earned the opportunity to work with Grant, obviously was introduced to Jerry and have developed a friendship. I would call it a friendship with Jerry. And all I can say, I say it all the time when people ask, and I've said it here, he is the exact same person in life that you see on the screen, the bubbliness, the personality, the joking, like the caring, that is Jerry. You run into him in the grocery store, that's Jerry. He is just truly talking about one of a kind, truly is one of a kind. So great conversation with him, and very lucky to have him on the channel with us. We're talking Kings. We are talking Nuggets. We're taking your calls and talking about the NBA. I was interested, and maybe I didn't phrase the question very well to Jerry about the playoffs and the top six, because we're looking at the top six as I put it up. Is that a hotel room? It sure as hell is a hotel room. Welcome back to the party kitchen, Handy. It is a hotel room. Rhino on the road, on location. Is Jerry, and Jerry is willing to talk to everybody? Yes. Jerry is, I'm telling you, just the best. Like, I love dining with Napes, love spending time with Napes. But Napes is there for a purpose. It's to get that food down, say a couple of hellos, get what you need to get done, and it is off to the next thing. You can sit there and talk with Jerry for 2-3 hours. Like, Jerry's the guy, like, when you walk out of the restaurant, then you stand by the cars and talk for another 15-20 minutes. So Jerry, yes, indeed. Lots of love. Where are you going, Rhino? I actually have a commitment at halftime, so I will not be able to make it, but I'll be back for the post-game show. So halftime, I have a commitment. And then I will be back in Stockton. So I'll be back in town for the Stockton Kings game on Saturday. If you're just joining us, by the way, Mason Jones put up 49 last night for the Stockton Kings. That is an explosion for him. And pay attention to what Stockton's doing down there. They are truly, I mean this, and I've said it because I cover them so closely. They are probably a top 2-3 organization in the G League. For as much crap as Sacramento gets for the way that the NBA team is ran, the way that Stockton team is ran is flawless, and it is so intertwined, connected with what the guys are doing up here in Sacramento on the main roster, running similar offenses, running no matter whether it is a fast break, whether it is a free throw, a made basket. They are getting up and down the court. They use Scal LaBCA really as their Domas, although Scal is a much different player. They use him to put the guys, the two-way players, in simulations that would be similar to what they will see up here with the team. You know, if you're down in Stockton, and Devin Carter, I get he's had some big scoring nights, but if you are a Mason Jones, if you are, I know he's not with the team anymore, but Colby Jones, the best example that I give is a guy that's with Dallas right now, Kessler Edwards. You know, when Kess would get called up to the Kings, he was never going to be asked to go create and score 30 points. So why would you be asking him to do that down in Stockton? So they simulate those role situations. And that's why a lot of these guys step in seamlessly in spots. Isaac Jones, another one. I would tell you Isaac Jones They are, in my opinion, trying to use the same mold that they used with Keon Ellis. Now, completely different players, but the way that they brought them along and at the speed they brought them along, not too much, too quick, making sure that things are being reinforced, taught well, good habits, and really putting them through the process. Because just like Keon, Isaac, also undrafted. Those are guys that were scouted by this front office and developed. Lindsey Harding, coach of the year last year, now with the Los Angeles Lakers and JJ Redick's staff. Quentin Crawford, coach right now, first year, doing a great job. Gabriel Harris, GM down there, awesome guy, doing a great job as well. So I will be down there on Saturday to go check out that game. Looking forward to it. But Mace exploded, absolutely exploded last night for Stockton. So back to what I was saying about the NBA playoffs really quick. I don't know what to think about 1 through 6. Oklahoma City is going to be number 1. Locked in. Done. Forget about it. I think Los Angeles, if I'm going from Los Angeles, Denver, Memphis, Houston, and Golden State, it sounds crazy to say based on the body of work this year. But I actually think the Lakers and Golden State are both 100% going to be in that top 6. Golden State isn't even dealing with a healthy Jonathan Kuminga yet. And look at what Jimmy Butler's game has opened up. Houston, I think, could fall back. They're 5-5 in their last 10. I think Houston has a scoring problem offensively. If Şengün gets in foul trouble, watch out. Now, the Clippers, who are currently in the play-in at 9, I still, with them, I don't know what to make of it because they're such a bad matchup for the Kings. But I just wonder, Memphis, 3-7 in their last 10, and I don't think that we're in a spot where it's unfair to look ahead at some of these teams and look ahead at what some of these matchups could possibly be. Dallas falling out. I just, Anthony Davis possibly not coming back this season. I just don't see Dallas staying in the play-in. And by the way, if you're a Dallas fan, getting slapped in the face yesterday or on Monday with a letter saying that you are raising your season ticket prices, which isn't a big deal. That happens pretty much to every fan base. But the reason you're raising your season ticket prices is because of your investment in players, your investment in the players. You didn't want to sign a generational talent to a supermax contract, but you're raising prices for your investment in players. Very interesting stuff there. Also, I go back to this with the schedule. We're looking ahead, and if you joined us for the show, and I'd love to get your calls, please call in as we continue to get you ready for the Kings and the Nuggets. We'll keep track of whether Jokic is going to be in or out of the lineup. Also, Aaron Gordon, a question mark around him. Malik Monk out for this one, as well as Domantas Sabonis. Expect Keon Ellis to step into the starting lineup. Going to be point guard by committee. My expectation, Markelle Fultz, going to get probably a decent amount of minutes tonight. Probably not anything over 20, but I think Markelle is definitely going to get some run guarding that pick and roll, assuming Jokic plays. And I do like a matchup of Fultz and Murray here and there, switching things up, especially if you run. Yeah, no, I'm with you. There you go. Good way to put it.
That's terrible.
Especially if you switch it up with a Keon Ellis, you switch it up with a Keegan Murray from time to time, throwing different looks at them. They're not one of those teams, Denver, that I think can really shoot themselves out of a zone or shoot you out of the zone. I mean that with all due respect. I get their 3-point numbers They're third in the league in 3-point percentage, but there's something about the zone defense. I don't have the stats in front of me with their numbers in the zone. They do not shoot the three ball well when they are getting zone. Now, they do get the ball to the middle pretty well. Here's the thing that bugs me, though. It's what I talked about with Jerry. I'm going to go to the Kings statistics here in a minute. The Kings 3-point attempts allowed per game. They give up the 10th most in the league. 10th most in the league. And that's actually come down considerably. So, can the Kings try not to give up a ton of threes to a team in Denver who is dead last in the NBA in 3-point attempts? Dead last. You got to look at that. So, back to the schedule, what you're looking at, I think you cannot underestimate these next 6 games that kick off tonight in Denver. 4 of these 6 games, I think, are more important than any game you play on the long homestand that we're calling Murderer's Row. Way more important because of who you're playing against. Remember, we were just looking at the standings. Clippers right there. Phoenix a game out or outside of the play-in looking in. Golden State, what a massive game there for a tiebreaker. So I'm telling you, the San Antonio game, that's your first one. Got to have that game. The Clippers game, the Golden State game, and the Phoenix game, those 4 games, I think, are way more important than Cleveland, Memphis, Chicago, Milwaukee, Boston, Oklahoma City, because they are head-to-head games that have bearing on the tiebreakers in most of them, with teams that are looking to get some of the same slotting as you. So a lot to talk about today. Again, a lot of eyes on this man, Keon Ellis. You have asked for him. He will likely be starting tonight in Malik Monk's absence. Also, I'm interested to see how the Kings really do this point guard thing tonight. Very interested to see how that's going to go. Let's get to some of you in the chat. We have not gone to that quite yet. And again, please call the show. Would love to hear from you. You can do that by hitting the link that I'm going to put right back here in the chat. We're here again all night for you, all night. Halftime, Jerry and Grant will break down the first half, give you predictions for the second half, and then the post-game show. The standard, the original, the OG on this channel. It's what we do after every single game. We've been taking your calls. We have been taking a ton of calls as of late. So looking forward to that after the Kings and the Nuggets tonight. And win or lose, the Kings are coming home with a 3-1 record on this road trip. Really important. Let's go to the phones really quick. My man, Dennis, what's up, dude?
Yo, Rhino, how's it going?
Going good, brother. How are you?
Hey, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what Keon does in the starting lineup. I felt like he could be, how do you say, a better fit in the starting lineup for me personally, because I felt like Monk could just be better served off the bench because of his scoring. But now that
Acknowledge me.
Sorry, Dennis, wrong button.
No.
Go ahead.
no worries. And then, well, I just felt like Keon would fit better, because he's more consistent with his shot making than Monk's sporadicness at times. And I acknowledge that even though he can go in games and be scoreless, but he's still so effective. You know, he's blocking shots, he's guarding, you know, the better players more effectively, I feel, than Monk. So I'm just really excited to see what he can do in the starting lineup, and then obviously we have more depth now with Fultz. So I'm just excited, Rhino.
Well, okay, I'm with you. I'm excited if the Kings get him involved. What I don't want to see tonight is, oh, Monk's out. That means Levine and DeMar are getting more shots. No, Malik Monk's shots need to go to Keon Ellis. He is your best 3-point shooter besides Sabonis and Keegan Murray too. This has got to be a 5-man game tonight. So I hope they don't go too far into ISO. And as for Keon being in the starting lineup instead of Monk, I don't think it works. Because what works about Keon or with Keon in the starting lineup is having a guy like Monk next to him because of the way they're able to switch on the perimeter. You can't really do that as well with Levine. One, a communication issue. They just haven't played long enough together. And two, defensively, Levine and Monk's not a great defender, but he's a better defender than Levine. And then you're not switching with DeMar either. So I just feel like you've got to have a combination of those two if you're going to put your 5 best defensive out. I mean, I'm kind of out on a limb here with who I said the starting lineup I think should be. Jerry kind of backed me up, but he said you can only do it if it's training camp. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Keon does. Got to get him involved, though. I don't want to see a box score, Dennis, at the end of the first half that says he has 2 shots.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, same thing with Keegan, but we have to remember, like, even in the last game, like we had like 3 or 4 guys who didn't even play in the fourth quarter. So it's just it's it's one of those things where you want to get everybody going, but then at certain times, certain games you can't. And I know I expressed this enough to you. I know you know me. I love getting into this bench. I want to create a bench mob with this bench. I feel like we have enough assets in this bench to, go deeper than 8 guys, obviously.
How so? Where would you like to go deeper and how?
Well, just with, like we just called Devin up. We're going to see some Devin minutes. We're going to see Fultz minutes. We're going to see Jake minutes. We're going to see Trey minutes. And then right there's 9 guys. So obviously we're eclipsing that 8-man rotation. And now, because obviously Monk and Sabonis are down. And now maybe we can go a little bit more, Obviously Scal or Isaac Jones, can get in there and get some minutes for us too, because I feel like with this Denver lineup, I don't know who's all going to play, but they play a little bit bigger than us too. So
Yeah, they're thin on the bench though as well. To me, with Denver, if Jokic is going to play, you know what you're going to get with him. You kind of know what you're going to get with Murray. Westbrook and Christian Brown, those are the wild cards. Those are the 50-50 ball guys. And that's where you need, your guys, whether it's coming off the bench or it's your Keons, it's Devin. Like, I'm even a little bit nervous about Devin. I talked about him yesterday, but Christie, he's going to kind of reduce this rotation to a degree, and he's got some big decisions to make when it comes to it, like with Jake LaRavia and Trey Lyles. Obviously, Christie likes the hustle and the grittiness out of LaRavia, but Trey Lyles gives you some of that too. And offensively, Trey has been playing really well as of late. So I think that is one of the subplots, because as much as you want to see it, some guys want it, or other people want to see it. Christie's not going to go probably much deeper than 9 as this season goes along, maybe 10, depending on injuries.
yeah, 100%. I feel that way too. I just feel like when he does play these guys are given something though. So it's not like he's not getting anything. Even if Keon is scoreless, he's still out there blocking shots. He's still out there, like I said, guarding the best defender. I like Jake getting going in the last game. He made a couple shots, and it's like it's about time. Even though he does that all-out energy, hustleness that you want, it brings you that grit that you want, that tenacity you want. So, but like I said, I'm just really excited to see how deep we go tonight, and I feel like it's going to be a bench game. Like whoever has a better production in bench tonight is going to win the game.
All right. I appreciate it, man. Have a great evening.
You
Probably
too,
hear from you
Rhino.
later
I
tonight.
hope.
Appreciate
Yeah.
you, Dennis.
Knock whatever you have to knock out. Appreciate you. Later.
All right, brother. Be well. Good call by Dennis. Okay, if that happens, I'm going to be real with you. If Jokic plays and that happens, it's a wrap tonight. It's done. The Kings are not going to have a chance. JV has to be able to stay on the floor. And conversely, I like what some of you are saying. Go at Jokic. Jokic is one of those funny characters. This is a game where if you're JV, and I know he doesn't shoot a ton of them, but he cannot hesitate to take some of those perimeter jump shots. I'm not saying he's got to shoot the three ball, but stuff in the mid range, his shot from 12 to 16 feet is pure for the most part. And I don't worry too much about his conditioning. I think it's been okay up until this point, but he's got to not hesitate on that shot because that's what's going to foul Denver up. That's what's going to screw them up because Jokic ain't leaving the paint. He's going to leave guys wide open. So definitely an interesting thing to monitor. We will see if Jokic is even going to play tonight. That should be coming out here in a little bit. In fact, let's refresh that really quick while I have it up because maybe it did come out because I'm not looking at my phone. Nope, still game time decisions for Jokic and Aaron Gordon. So we're walking you down. We're getting you ready for the Kings and the Nuggets. You can get Trey for cheap. Hopefully you can get Jake for $5 million. Okay, why is there this rush to sign Jake LaRavia? I'm sorry. Like as soon as he got traded here, that was the first talk. It's like, oh, well, you can't sign him. You're capped at what you could re-sign him for. The guy's played, 9 games? Is the Sacramento King? I'm not trying to get on you, Derek. I love you, Derek. But what's the rush? I don't think Trey Lyles is coming back. I would be shocked if you got a third tour of Trey Lyles with the Kings. I mean, maybe Trey Lyles, the Kings get to the 6th seed. They win a playoff series, and Trey is a big reason for it. Maybe so. I just don't know. Because you don't know what's going to happen with the front office and the coach either. I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of sensitivity to quote unquote anything that relates to running it back. Because if you've learned anything about the NBA since the new CBA went into effect, which was this last summer, is shaking it up, taking massive risks, making sure that you're trading stars, you're rotating people around, and you are drafting and developing well. That's the wild card. The draft picks right now, draft picks in the NBA to me have never had more value. Ever, ever, ever. And this CBA is in year 1 because it's guaranteed pay scales in contracts. So that to me is where somebody asked while Jerry was here about the Fox trade. Did we win it? Did we not win it? It's way too early, number 1. But number 2, the draft compensation, although, yes, technically that Charlotte's 2 seconds, it's going to transfer to 2 seconds. That was a lot of draft compensation comparatively to some of the other deals that we saw around the NBA. And you're going to need to see another free agent cycle. You're going to need to see another trade deadline cycle before we can really understand what the value of what the Kings got for Fox is. Player-wise, you kind of know, but assets, players as assets are not considered the big hook now anymore. It is definitely the draft picks because of the aprons, because of the luxury tax and the penalties for being in the aprons. It's a really interesting time in the NBA. Trey's going to have to step up tonight. Look, I've been on the record. I talked about it the last 2 nights. The Kings defense the last 2 games has been fabulous. For the Kings, to their standard, it has been really good. And a big part of that has been the communication. You can audibly hear it on television, something that we were not hearing a lot of before. So can that, it has to continue in tonight, because Malik Monk's that's your dude, by the way. Malik Monk is out. Malik Monk, from an energy standpoint, from an attitude standpoint, he's the leader of this team. Now, from a hustle standpoint, it's 100% Domantas Sabonis, by the way, also out.
That's terrible.
So where are the Kings going to create their own energy? Who's going to take that over? It's got to be Keon. It's got to be a combination of Keon, a little bit of DeMar. It's got to be all 5 guys in that starting lineup. I'm telling you, if Keon Ellis has 2 shots at halftime, assuming Jokic plays, this team is probably down double digits at the half. Probably down double digits. Keon starting, Jokic starting Denver. We don't know if Jokic is playing yet or not, unless that just came out. How does the tiebreaker work when they play 4 games if they split? It's a great question. I don't remember off the top of my head. There's 3. They have a list of things. I forget off the top of my head what they are. I believe score is considered into one of them, like total scores, margins of victory. I would have to look it up. So I will get that to you off the top of my head. I do not remember, though. Ryan, opinion, any chance we see Keon and Markelle in the backcourt together? Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is definitely a possibility tonight. I would be very surprised if Doug goes to Devin Carter before he goes to Markelle Fultz. That would very much surprise me. In fact, if you want to see the best of Keon, you probably need to have Markelle on the floor at times. And the same thing goes for Keegan Murray as well in this one. So, Doug has been so hot and cold with Markelle Fultz so far. The first game he played pretty well. He had a couple of stupid turnovers. He's actually had some bad turnovers, as Jerry said earlier in the show. Almost every game he's played, but defensively he's been solid. Shooting wise, he's been decent. He played 16 minutes last game, but the 2 games before that, he only played 4 minutes in each one. Devin Carter, we talked about it on yesterday's show. It's a great example. It's an incredible example of how big the difference is between stepping between the NBA and the G League. Because Devin's balling out in the G League, but it's a completely different game down there. It's a slower game. He's more confident down there. The problem with Devin is this is the scout on Devin. He's going to pressure you defensively. That's going to be fine. He's a bulldog that way, but he is susceptible to that same pressure on offense. He does not do well handling the ball. And I don't blame Devin for that completely, because Devin's not a point guard. He's in between a point guard and a 2 guard. He is exactly what Monty McNair has continued to draft and sign on this team, which follows the trend of players playing out of position. Almost every player that's been on this Bean team, that's been part of the rotation, has been playing out of position, which is insane. Absolutely insane. Statement game for the Kings. Mark my words, 115, 111. So it's funny that you say that, because Napes and I disagree on this. Napes and I go at it, and we don't go at it. We just disagree. And some of you have brought this up as well. I think the Kings since the Beam Team year have actually played the Nuggets pretty well. And Grant's counter is, well, Jokic didn't play in one of them. Murray was out for a couple of them. I don't care. It's still a Michael Malone coach team. They've won a championship recently. They're a good team. I guess when Sabonis, with the exception of the last meeting between these two teams, usually when Sabonis and Jokic square off, it's like two supernovas and they just cancel each other out. Both of them don't have massive nights. They both have solid nights. They just cancel each other out. It's what it is. It's giving up a pawn for a pawn. But last meeting, that was not the case. So I'm not scared of the way the Kings, the way they match up with Denver whatsoever when they are healthy. When the Kings are healthy, that is the important part of the equation. Back to the phones we go. My man Tay, happy Wednesday, my friend.
Hey Rhino, happy Wednesday. How are you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good, good. Thank you. Um, I think going back to point about Laravia and Trey, I agree. Most likely they're not coming back. Lyles for sure. I think there's writing on the wall that he's not coming back, and I agree that we need to, recycle through some of these role players and preferably build through the draft. Um, what do you think about? And I think Jake Laravia, we were, all in a rush to sign him because he had that one. His first game was really good. He scored 7 points off the bench in like 2 to 3 minutes, and I think that's just something that type of energy is something that we lacked all season. So, I think we were all kind of fell in love with that pretty quickly. But I think now we're seeing his limitations. Um, what do you think about signing someone like Dennis Schroeder? He's a free agent next season for a point guard, and someone like Santi Aldama from Grizzlies. He might be more expensive, but I think someone like him might be a good replacement um, for someone like Trey Lyles, a big man that can shoot, and someone who's younger and has more offensive higher firepower. I think Aldama might be more expensive to get, but I look at those two free agent signings that the Kings can potentially do in the offseason. If the money works out, I think they will be a great fit for the team.
Yeah, I'm not ready to talk about signings next offseason, just because we're still trying to figure this team out. I get where you're going, though, Tay. Schroeder, no. I can't stand Schroeder. I don't think that he would be good here whatsoever. I love Aldama. He's a great player. He's an awesome player. But again, like before the Kings, a lot of people talking about, I've said it, you're kind of in basketball purgatory right now because you're in the play-in, you're not in the lottery. You're not in a place where you're going to retool through the draft, and you're not in a place where you're going to contend for a championship, right? And I think first and foremost, before we sign any other players, you've got to have an identity and a plan. And those are two things that have not. Here we go. Thank you. Aaron Gordon is out. I will interrupt my thought for that. According to Cristobal, who I trust, Aaron Gordon is out. Yep, there we go. Let's go to that really quick. Aaron Gordon is out. That has been updated.
Nice.
Jokic, still a game time decision. My guess is Jokic is going to play, y'all. I would be surprised. Now, here's the wild card really quick. Here's the wild card. Remember, the Nuggets are coming off. This is their first game back from an East Coast road trip. They've lost 3 of 5. They played some good teams. Usually your first game back, it's a little bit of a struggle. Just is. So, anyways, getting back to my point, Tay, you need an identity and you need a plan. And it's something that was not in Sacramento all 3 of these years. So, whatever that's going to be, if it's going to be with this same GM, the same coach, it's going to be a different GM, a different coach. You got to have that before you decide what direction you're going to go on players. Did we lose Tay? We lost Tay. All right, we'll see if Tay can come back. Come on, Ryan. Put your puffy vest and talk off-season trades. You can do it, buddy. John, look, man. John, first off, John, you are starting to get, so you already have one sound drop that's on the board for you, but you now have another, John. Here you go, buddy.
John, what the hell are you doing?
From the Cena heel turn. Come on,
John, what the hell are you doing?
I'm not ready to do it, and I'm not trying to be Napes where it's too soon. I just can't, because Doug Christie, a couple of games ago, said defense is going to be the team's identity. Okay, then we need to see it. Then that needs to be what is going to move the needle when it comes to personnel decisions going forward. It's a question that has been floated across Sacramento for the last 3 weeks. We thought it was a conversation that was going to start after Mike Brown was fired, but would the fan base be up for a full rebuild? And what does that look like? Do they need a full rebuild? Do they need to retool? I was in the court that you needed to retool. Now, with the De'Aaron Fox trade, I was not happy with the personnel that came back on that. I do not know, as Baby Cakes points out, how the Kings did not get a true point guard out of any deal with De'Aaron Fox. In fact, if I stole Sean Cunningham's credential or Matt George's credential and put my puffy vest on and snuck in like that Klay Thompson dude on YouTube that snuck in to the Chase Center before the NBA Finals, I snuck into the press room and I got to ask a question. My question would be exactly that. Monty, has not having a true point guard on this team during your tenure been by design? And if so, why? That's all I would ask. That's what I want to know. It doesn't make any sense, John. And by the way, if you're getting ready to come at me and say, well, Ryan, they have had a true point guard. They had Dellavedova. They had Jordan McLaughlin.
That don't make no sense.
I'm talking about a true point guard that can look. It's as stupid and as simple as this. Did anybody watch the Phoenix game last night against the Clippers? Did anybody watch that game? Did you see the difference? Phoenix has the same problems the Kings has, by the way, that they don't have a true point guard. So you're asking Devin Booker to do it. You're asking Durant to do it. You're doing it by committee, which means by default, you are asking them to spend their times doing things that they can do, but they're not best at. It'd be like, hey, Gordon Ramsay. Hey, Chef Ramsay. I'm going to hire you for a night at whatever your crazy rate is, Gordon. I'm going to hire you for one night, Gordon, and I'm going to have you come into my house. Okay? You're going to be my private chef for a night, Gordon. Here's what I want you to make me. I want you to make me some top ramen.
What is that?
Huh? Gordon, you know what? You're right. Top ramen. What? So stupid of me. Gordon, I'm still going to hire you. Can you make me a grilled cheese?
Come here. Get out.
Do you see the analogy I'm trying to build here? These guys are too talented to be spending their time bringing the ball up the court and distributing. There's too much attention that defenses need to give to them in other areas of the court that open other people up, right? Colin Gillespie last night. Colin Gillespie changed the game. for Phoenix. Dude is a true point guard. Phoenix, actually, because I cover the G League so closely in Stockton, they just played actually last night, Stockton, the Valley Suns. David Stockton, the son of John Stockton, is on the Valley Suns. In fact, he was a Sacramento King at one point. True point guard, that kind of player. Now, he's not good enough to be in the NBA right now. Ty Washington, he's more of a scoring point guard, not really a true point guard. But the Kings need, like, imagine how the Kings would look. And be dead ass serious here. If you had and I get these guys don't grow on trees, a TJ McConnell, if you had a Peyton Pritchard, an Austin Reeves, who else? Maybe Caruso. He's not really a point guard, but he can play every position besides center. He can guard center sometimes. Kobe White. Those kinds of guys. Hell, even a Colin Gillespie. Makes a big difference. Okay, what's going on? Kitchen has done something. My wife calls me and then goes, I'm going to puke. I think it's official that she's pregnant. Interesting, Kitchen. Congratulations if that's the case. That or you're a really bad cook and you gave her food poisoning from last night. Hope it's the latter. That would be exciting. That would be pretty damn cool. Do you want to be pregnant? That would be very cool. Congratulations. Getting some love. I wanted to see why he's getting some love. There you go. Good job, Kitchen. Good job. You know, we just watched Boss Baby the other night, and we taught Liam how babies are brought into the world. You know, they come off the conveyor belt. Some of them go to the corporation with the formula to combat the puppies, the cuteness. Then others go to homes. Yeah. So, Kitchen, you must have got a good one off the conveyor belt. Yes, my 10-year-old is here in the room. So anyways, all right, now I'm lost. We were talking about roster construction and whatnot, but she is. Oh, okay, great. That's awesome, man. Hell yeah.
Acknowledge me.
Hell yeah, man. There is nothing like getting that news. And then it's like somebody, I was on Haunted Horses show yesterday. I should at least put some basketball numbers up as we talk about this. I was on Haunted Horses show yesterday, and I was the only person on the show that has a child. And they're like, well, what was it like when you got the news? And it's like, first, it was terrifying because, okay, you guys are going to get some inside Rhino here. So, you guys know, Seattle Seahawks fan here. And that is by default because my dad is such a raging Seattle Seahawks fan. And the year that Seattle made it to the Super Bowl, it was their first appearance in the Super Bowl. They're playing the Steelers. I happened to be dating somebody whose family was a big Steelers family. And her grandfather, he was very, very well off. And this gentleman threw one of these crazy, he was known for it every year, crazy Super Bowl parties in Santa Cruz. In fact, the party went back and forth. You could go back and forth from two houses that were both on the ocean. And it was completely catered by this place that he had ownership in called the Crow's Nest. and his neighbor was, I think it was the O'Neill guy from O'Neill. Anyways, you get my point. This dude was freaking made. I chose to go watch the Super Bowl with that group instead of watching the Super Bowl, the Seahawks Super Bowl with my dad. I will tell you, it was one of those things that I realized really quickly that I could never take back. Like it was one of those knives in the back that he did not think he would ever get from me. Because not only am I not watching the game with him, I'm at a party basically rooting for the Steelers and ended up like this party, by the way, you all. This party had racks of jerseys and a professional photographer there. So you could pick out your Steelers jersey and take a picture with a Steelers jersey and keep the jersey. So, of course, we all take the pictures. They get back to my dad, yada, yada, yada. So the reason I'm setting this up is because the day I found out that my wife was pregnant with Liam was the day the Seahawks were playing the Broncos in the Super Bowl. It was my opportunity to make up for my wrong and watch the Super Bowl with my dad. And I got that phone call. Sweetheart, we are expecting. And I'm like, oh crap. One, I'm floored. And two, I'm like, well, babe, like I need to come see, like we need to be together. Like, okay. And then I'm like, oh crap. Super Bowl, Seahawks. My son might not have a grandfather in his life if I don't watch this football game. So lucky enough, my wife came and watched the football game. She's not into sports, but yes. So what I'm saying, Kitchen, and you know this, if you're number two, when you get that news, the list of things in your head, like literally the list of things in your head that need to change immediately, that you know have to be dropped from your life, starts checking off. And then it's like this 9-month timer starts. And that 9-month timer goes so quick. That time goes so fast, but you're so excited. Everything changes. The best advice I could give to those that don't, and I know this is the worst thing to do. Nobody wants advice from somebody who's already a parent, but make the kid adjust to your lifestyle. Don't adjust your lifestyle to the kid. I've seen that work the best. So, anyways, congratulations, Kitchen. Very happy for you. That is awesome. Steelers jersey. It was bad, dude.
That's terrible.
It was bad. I'm telling you, I almost did not come back from it. Almost didn't come back from it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I messed up with the first one. Didn't get a push present. Yes, dude, you got to do the push present. I was late with the push present too. I was about 9 months late with the push present. It was a Tiffany's necklace, I think. But yes, you've got to get the push present. Got to get the push present. How many viewers have we lost talking about this? Let's get back on track. Keon, get us back on track, man. Come on.
Where we at?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about the Kings. We are talking about the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon is out tonight. Jokic is playing tonight. Jokic is in the lineup. He is off the injury report. Anybody put that in the chat yet? Jokic is going to be playing in this one, so get ready for it. Jokic off the injury report. Malik Sabonis out. Did I tell you? You told me the story in Stockton, Ryan. I remember it's my default. Yeah. Maybe I did tell you that story. Yeah, you gotta pay my ticket, dude. Come on, man. The cop didn't. I'm so confused, by the way, with this ticket. He's like, it's not a moving violation, so you don't need to worry about it. If it's your first one, the court, you just have to pay the processing thing. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is an idiot. So, all right, back to this one. So we do know that Jokic is playing in this game. So it is important for the Kings. Let's talk about it now. What are the Kings going to have to do realistically to beat this Denver team tonight? What do you have to do? Well, number one, you cannot give them second opportunities, something that they are pretty good at. Here's the other thing that they are really good at: sharing the basketball. Denver is going to make the Kings work on defense. They just are. They're going to make them work night in and night out, possession in, possession out defensively. They are the first ranked team in assists. So they will use that shot clock. Jokic's court vision is stupid. I don't need to explain it to you. So if that's the way that it's going to be played, that's the way that Denver wants it to be played, the Kings have to have a good night with deflections. They've got to hit first, like Doug Christie talks about. Denver needs to feel the Kings, and it's all that more important on a night like tonight where they're coming back from a road trip, a long road trip. Well, not long, but East Coast road trip, 4 games. They've lost 3 of their last 5. This is the getaway game for the Kings, getting off of their 4-game road trip. So it kind of sets up nicely for the Kings to come out with confidence. They've won a couple. You got to come out. It's got to be on both ends. And you think that the turnovers that the Kings have had have been stupid in the last 9 games at times? Think about that third quarter. The Kings in the first half against Charlotte had 8 turnovers. In the third quarter, they had 8 turnovers. If the Kings do anything like that, I mean anything like that, you can double the number of turnovers. It would be like 16 against Denver. That's how much better they are. So Valanciunas has to stay out of foul trouble. The guards need to be on a string, communicate, be physical, push Denver off their spots. Don't let them get to where they want to be to start the offense. It makes a difference. Let's see. I can't see if this is. Oh, it's Ian. What's up, Ian? I am. Hello. I am. Jam. You there? I hear you chewing.
Hello?
Big League Chew. Yeah, you there? Ian?
Oh, shoot.
Jam? What's up, dude?
Lamb. It's Lamb, bro.
Lamb. Okay.
What's good? Hey, man.
I tried.
Man,
What's good,
you
brother?
tried. Hey, that's good, brother. Hey, yo, Denver Nuggets. Ty Lawson. Didn't he used to play for the Kings?
Yeah, I think he had a little stretch with the Kings.
Yo, he was, man, I remember watching this YouTube clip of him. He had like 10 threes in a row. And yeah, it's one of the players I liked.
Sweet. So you Kings fan? What's up, man? What's up, Lamb?
I like players who play like royalty. So you can play on any team as long as you show a significant effort to show why you are a king, or respective WNBA. If you're a queen on the court, hey, Brittany Griner, you can be Nene. I like Nene.
All right. I see you. Well, I appreciate the call. Thanks for calling in, brother.
Always.
Look at that. Lamb, first time caller. I like it. Good job. I'll acknowledge that.
Acknowledge me.
Well done. So getting back to this one, it's an important one tonight. It really is. Other games going on in the association tonight. Let's take a look. The Blazers right now losing to the Celtics 92-75. The T-Wolves up 12 right now on the Hornets 84-72. Heat Cavaliers, cool. Don't worry about it. Jazz down 6 to the Wizards. Mavs getting blown out by the Bucks so far. Don't expect much there. Thunder Grizzlies, definitely something to pay attention to. But the last game on the schedule, the Pistons and the Clippers, second game of a back-to-back for the Clippers. That's one that I am definitely going to be paying attention to tonight as we bring you back in, getting you ready for the Kings and the Nuggets. Kings and the Nuggets. Fuji says, bruh, Ty Lawson. I didn't think that was a name we'd be talking about today. I get it, though. Ty Lawson was pretty good in Denver for a little stretch. Denver's had some decent stretches of basketball, man. You had Iverson. You had Melo. You had Jokic. Hasn't exactly been basketball hell there. I think that's fair to say, right? Let's see. Keegan needs to get a hot hand. It's my wild card, baby cakes. Keegan's playing with a ton, and I mean a ton right now, of confidence. If I'm telling you, and I'm not going to be here at halftime, it's going to be Grant and Jerry. But if Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis, like, both only have a couple shots in the first half, it's not going to be a good night for the Kings. Yeah, Detroit basketball. Yeah, for sure. No doubt. That was a good thing back in the day. That guy was a little bit weird, though. Not going to lie. You've got it. This has got to be all hands on deck. Valanciunas cannot get in foul trouble. We can look at the other matchups between these teams this season. This is the fourth and final matchup between the two teams. Remember the 130-129 game in Sacramento. That was the first game the Kings played without Keegan Murray when he sat out with the ankle issue. Aaron Gordon just absolutely had a massive first quarter against DeMar DeRozan. Kings fought their way back, unable to ultimately get it done. Jamal Murray ended up killing him in the end. Jokic had a big three as well. Certainly the other blowout, 96-117. And then the last game was a blowout too. Don't let the final score deceive you. That was the game where Doug McDermott brought the team back in the fourth quarter. They ended up losing by 9 in that one. So the Kings, every game matters. Again, as I go back to the schedule coming up for this team, I truly believe 4 of the next 6, and this game is not one of them. It's not. I am not circling this game as one of them. 4 of the next 6 games beginning tonight are more important than any of the games that you play on your long home stand against the class of the NBA. The 4 games in no particular order, maybe in this order, actually, I will put it in an order. San Antonio. It's not the most important from a standing sense, but for this fan base, for this team, it's so essential that you don't let De'Aaron Fox come in here and beat the Kings with where the Kings are at in the standings. You can't do it. No Wembanyama. Second most important, Golden State. That is a massive game. The Kings got to get that one because it is going to have tiebreaker implications. And then I would say Clippers and Phoenix. Those are the 4 games because those are all the teams that the Kings are kind of in the mix with right now to get into the playoffs. I just think those are massive, massive ones. Let's go back to the phones. Dave, what's going on today?
Hey, what's up, Rhino?
Good. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. I was excited to see you pull up the schedule. I was doing the same thing earlier today.
Yeah.
Question for you. When you look at the standings, give me 2 teams in the West that you're high on right now that you think are going to stay put where they're at, or potentially even climb the ranks. And I'd be curious to hear from you on maybe 2 or so teams that you think might go the opposite direction that are going to fade.
Well, do you want to leave the Mavericks out just for obvious reasons?
Yeah, I don't think we need to touch that.
Yeah, for sure. You guys aren't going to like the first one, the Lakers. I am not happy as a Kings fan.
Yeah,
to
they look
see.
good, and I always have to keep that bad word out of my mouth, of course. But I'm with you. I think they look good.
They're set up, by the way, and the big question for them is going to be their front line. Can they get some minutes, some good minutes out of Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes? Can those guys come through? Because that matters a lot in the playoffs. But this is the first time, Dave, in my opinion, and Jerry and Grant agree with me, that LeBron James sees himself as playing with an equal on the court as a teammate. And now LeBron can kind of sit back, stay a little bit more fresh. And if Luka stays healthy and he keeps playing the way he's been playing, it translates. Everything translates. Austin Reeves, the passes are spot freaking on. Dalton Knecht getting better looks. So the Lakers are one team. The other team for me is Golden State. I think Golden State's going to shoot up the rankings. Jimmy Butler
is he's a difference maker. He absolutely is. Just circling back to the Lakers though, real quick. While I agree with you on all points, I also feel like the Kings, they to my memory, they've always kind of played Luka's teams well. They played well against the Mavs. I think the Kings front line, if Sabonis is healthy and now with JV in the mix, I think they can be problematic for LA. Now, will the Kings see LA in any kind of postseason, series? That's to be seen. But
sure.
I'll tell you what, man, I'd love to see it. If the Kings could get, climb up to like the 7 spot and the Lakers are at the 2, or if it's a 6-3 scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be awesome. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But,
okay. So let me ask you this. Let's say that were to happen.
Right.
Since I am not Grant, and Grant would never do this on a call like this, as a Kings fan, what type of vindication would that bring you if the Kings were to knock the Lakers out of the playoffs?
Oh my goodness. 2 years ago, I was telling everybody that would listen that I truthfully in my heart believed that the Kings were going to end the Warriors dynasty. And then they were going to get LA. I just really felt strongly that LA was going to knock out, I believe it was Memphis, right? They were the 7-2. And that would have, dude, I would have been doing backflips, like going nuts. So, I mean, listen, that'd be incredible. It would be 2 years later than I had predicted and hoped for. But I mean, to have the Kings out the Lakers in a series, I mean, it would be absolutely incredible.
I love it. Dave, thanks for the call. You got a little puppy down there chewing on a chew toy?
I have 2. My kids are hiding from you off camera.
Nice.
And my dogs I got 2. I got a Silky Terrier running around, and I have a mini Golden Doodle puppy. He's about a little over a year now.
What's a Silky Terrier?
Silky Terrier is a lot like a Yorkshire Terrier. Here, I'm gonna put the camera up there for you. That's the Yorkie.
Okay.
Her name is Booger. Okay. Yep, Booger.
Okay.
And then this is the mini Golden Doodle. He's got a really unique color. His name is Sherman. He's got this merle coat. Very cool dog. But
good looking dogs.
Thanks, man. And here's one of my kids. He's less camera shy than the other.
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
How you doing, dude?
Good.
Anything to say about the Kings?
No, not really.
All right, fair enough.
I think they might make the playoffs this year.
Okay.
I mean, what do you think about them making the play-in, or do you think they'll make like one of the top seeds, like 6 and above?
I think they will definitely be in the play-in. Although I hope they can get to the 6th seed, I think it's really unlikely.
Yeah, same.
So I think you're on the right track.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for listening to us.
You got it.
We'll catch you next time.
Sounds good. I love it. The entire family. That's what this is about, man. Family show. Love it. And the dogs too. Showing the dogs some love. All right. It's that time, y'all. And thank you, Cristobal. You're right. This is the 3rd meeting between these teams. The Kings and the Nuggets play the 4th meeting. I believe in their last homestand of the season. The Kings finished the season at home with the Clippers, Phoenix, and Denver. So good job by you, Cristobal. That was a score from last year. Give me your scores, y'all. What do you think this one is going to turn out with? Remember, Jokic in the lineup. This is a family show. No cussing. I've been trying to clean that up. You guys know I've been trying to clean that up a little bit. I've gotten some feedback that there are some younger Kings Court fans want to be respectful of them. So that's why when knuckleheads like Haunted Horrors...
Not so fast, midget. Not so fast. Midget? Yeah, little guy.
Come on here, Adam sometimes, not to mention any names, and try to get me fired from Grant's channel. Yeah, I take it a little serious. Come on. Come on, man. Anyways, all right. What are your scores? We've talked all about it. Give me your scores right now, because we are gonna get ready to send you off in just a few minutes. While you put those scores in, let me remind you, it is not too late to make your reservations at Bennett's American Cooking, 3 locations here in the greater Sacramento area. One of my family's favorite places to dine, especially on the weekends for brunch. All 3 locations, 11 to 2 p.m. weekend brunch. If you're one of those, if your wife, and even if you're kind of like undercover a mimosa dude, it's a good place to go. You can get 2 entrees and a bottle of champagne, 2 great entrees and a bottle of champagne for under $60. Also during the week, actually all week, happy hour, 2 to 6 o'clock weekends. They've got weekend prime rib Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And don't forget about to-goes. Don't forget about gift cards. Don't forget about private dining rooms. You got a big group? You want your own space? Brian has beautiful private dining rooms, different at all of the locations that they can set aside for you. Not too early to start thinking about Mother's Day. It is not. So go to bennettsrestaurants.com and begin making your reservations there. I can promise you, you will not regret it. Make sure that you tell them that you heard about them here on the channel. Somebody just went in not too long ago and got to meet Brian. They ended up taking 15% off the bill. So Brian loves meeting you, and we love hearing your stories about Bennett's because we pass them along to Brian. And by the way, if you don't trust me about Bennett's, go in there. You don't like it. And I'm talking about like maybe you and one person. If you truly don't like it and you order like one of the trademark dishes, send me the receipt. I got your back. But don't go in there and order something that's amazing and send me a receipt and be like, it's terrible. It's going to be terrible karma, man. Don't do that. That's how good Bennett's is. Trust me on this. Dennis is there all the time. Grant, Jerry, and I, when Grant's in town, Jerry and I, we go there for lunch frequently. So go check them out, bennettsrestaurants.com. 3 locations here in the greater Sacramento area. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring the Kings Court today. Love us some Bennett's. All right, final scores. What's it going to be? Bennett's is awesome. They definitely are. Ryan, not in the post game, will suck. I will be here for the post game, Jesus. Yeah, I said I might be a little bit late. I will be here for the post game. So just no halftime. No halftime for me. You get all Jerry and Grant. I'm sure a lot of you like it that way. Kings 137-133 in overtime. Michael says, I think we lose in a close one. 116-113. I'm telling you, like in importance, number one, JV can't foul out. Like he can't get in foul trouble. If JV gets in foul trouble, it's not going to be good. Secondly, it's got to be 5-man basketball offensively. Like I said, if Keon and Keegan both have like 2 shots at halftime, forget about it. Like everybody's got to be clicking and hit first. So important. Hit first. Let's see. Denver 121, Kings 110, Furious 115, 114. Kings. All right. Donald 122, 117. Ben, appreciate you. 126, 121. Baby Cakes. I always like look over my shoulder if I'm broadcasting from my studio because I don't want my wife to be like, baby cakes. Like, yeah. And I'd be like, oh, it's Jake from State Farm. Oh, what are you wearing, Jake? You know what I'm saying. So 101.99. There is no need to cuss. And Grant was beloved for being G rated. I'm with you. Look, okay. So Athena, I'm with you. Now, I am not a saint when it comes to cussing. It slips. I'm not going to lie sometimes. And occasionally, a well placed bomb, like a genuine, untimed, just from the heart bomb, can hit well. Like the Cody Rhodes one on The Rock, that was pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. I don't defend that word much, but that was really good. That was really good. But yeah, like Jim Gaffigan, he's made a career out of not cussing in his humor. We went to see him. Love him. Hot Pocket, whatever he does. But yeah, with you for sure. Baki doing breakfast tonight. Tonight, one King fan between 20 Nuggets, Serbian. Interesting, but ready to send them to get me breakfast as punishment. I asked what a traditional Serbian breakfast is. It's like an American one. It's nothing crazy. Flores, love it, by the way, Baki. 125, 124. So we think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close too. Again, if everything breaks right, and I really went into this yesterday on the show, but having Sabonis off the floor, as much as I miss him, it really does force Doug Christie's hand when it comes to involving everybody in the offense. And Jerry kind of said as much. Usually when everybody's involved, the Kings had 6 guys in double digits last game. And I know that Dallas was Dallas and Kyrie went down. They would have had 7 if Sabonis had not gotten hurt. So I just, you play better. I am excited because I am one of those people that has been screaming from the rooftops that you need more pick and rolls. And guess what? When it happens, the numbers bear out that the Kings are better playing that style and less dribble handoffs. You're not going to do a ton of dribble handoffs with Valanciunas. So I am excited at the hand that is being forced tonight by Sabonis's injury to Doug Christie. I think it actually benefits the Kings well, but don't give Westbrook second opportunities. Can't do it. Kitchen Handy, who's going to be a second time dad. Say his name and he appears.
He appears.
112, 110. I like it. Yeah, I'm with you, Athena, by the way, about
Where'd you learn to
cussing.
talk like this?
I don't know where some people learn to talk like that. Some people on the post-game shows too. Whew, my goodness. Just clicking on to see you talking about this. What was I talking about when you clicked on? Ryan, do you think if the Kings win, it would be a signature win? Great question, Frog. Yes, I actually do. Here's why. And this is where we'll end the show. I actually thought that last year, it was the last game before the All-Star break. The Kings played Denver, and it was a low-scoring game. It was a very physical game. It was a very ugly game. And it was a game that 9 times out of 10, the Kings lose. And the Kings won. And it wasn't classified as a signature win, but what it did was it somewhat transformed, and the Kings' hand was forced to agree, or the team's hand was forced to a degree because of the injuries they were dealing with. But it transformed the way that the Kings played the rest of the season. Games became a race to 100 points. They became defensive battles, defensive defense turning into offense. It was a different style. And in fact, the net rating for the Kings almost tripled after that point. Even though they were without Malik Monk and without important players, Sabonis and Fox were both playing with sprained ankles that weren't on the injury report. So I go back tonight, and I say this. The Kings, and I know this is a new version of the Kings, but for an inconsistent team, the Kings have consistently been a team that rallies around each other and rallies around their teammates when somebody goes down. And I think that feeling's still there. Not only was Sabonis, but you're without Monk tonight as well. Think about last season, the Lakers game where Sabonis was ill and he didn't play. The Kings rallied around and won. So if the Kings are able to rally around the loss of Sabonis and Monk tonight and beat Denver, I know Grant's going to come on here and Grant's going to say, well, it's the first game back from an East Coast road trip. He's going to do all that. I promise you we'll be saying that on that post-game show if the Kings win this game, unless it's convincing and it's a blowout. But if the Kings do rally around and win tonight, it's a signature win in that sense that you've rallied around your fallen teammates. But I also think that much like the game last year before the All-Star break, it's going to crack open a door to a different portal. It's going to crack open a door to a different vantage point, a different view on ways that you can play with this team offensively and maybe defensively that could set up to help this team the rest of the way. So that's my long-winded way of saying, hell yes, I think it would be a signature win if the Kings end up pulling it out tonight. Don't forget, Grant, Jerry, 99 problems, but the Mavs ain't one. Yep. We're sending you out right now. Game starts in exactly 10 minutes. It's 5:57. Coach Christie, how about you break us down? It would be much appreciated.
That's big time shit. Together on three, y'all. 1, 2, 3. Together.
Love it. Hey, thank you everybody for showing up today. Appreciate all of you. Obviously, a massive thank you to Jerry for coming on, as he's the best. He is absolutely the best. Great questions from all of you. Great calls, great comments. Congratulations, Kitchen. Very happy for you. Grant, Jerry, regardless of what happens in the first half, we'll be here to talk about it at halftime at the end of the first 24 minutes. Make sure you join them. And then also, we'll be here for the post-game show. I am like 99.9. I'll be here. Just don't worry about that. I'll be here. And I know that's not why you tune in, but I'll be here. I'll make sure it happens. But halftime, Grant, Jerry, take you home. Go Kings! Light the damn beam. Go get a damn signature win in Denver. I just said damn. That doesn't count, Athena, as a cuss word to me, because I always say light the damn beam. Okay, yeah, I'm done. Court dismissed.